Don, so Pete Rose is applying again for reinstatement. What is the gist of his argument this time?
The gist is one of just fairness. He says his penalty, 30.5 years banned from baseball, is far more severe than any of the penalties that Major League Baseball has handed down to any of the players in the steroids era, and certainly in the last Houston Astros sign stealing scandal. Not a single player, as you pointed out, Jeremy, was suspended a single game or fined. So the argument that Rose and his lawyers is going to make to Commissioner Manfred is simply, this has been too long. 30.5 years is far greater a penalty than anybody else has served for impugning the integrity of the game, for acts that actually change the outcomes of the games. And they're going to say that Pete Rose betting on his own team in the 1980s when he was manager of the Reds did not change the outcome of a single game.
Don, this started with Bart Giamatti, then Fay Vincent, then Bud Selig. Rob Manfred has already turned down Rose once for reinstatement. Why would he reverse course now? Why would he overturn the decisions of his predecessors?
It's a great question, Jeremy. Rose and his lawyers are going to say the world has changed. As we all know, gambling in America is now legal. The Supreme Court made that happen in May of 2018. So the subtext here is that gambling does not have the same taboo it had in 1989 when Rose was initially banned for life. And I believe behind closed doors, that will be an argument that will be advanced by Rose and his lawyers with the commissioner.
Don, with Rose, it's not just about the initial crimes for which he was banned back in 1989, but it was also about what Bart Giamatti stipulated at that time, that he would have to reconfigure his life if he wanted to be reinstated. A few years ago in 2017, he lost his job at Fox. He was disinvited from a Phillies reunion because of allegations of statutory rape. At this point, what would Rose possibly be able to offer in his evidence to say that he has reconfigured his life since he's working in a casino now?
It's a great question, too, Jeremy. Rose is going to have to persuade Manfred that he's reconfigured his life. And the only way that I believe he's going to be able to do that is by agreeing to no longer bet on baseball. I've talked to MLB executives who say there's no way Rose can be welcomed back into baseball, have a job as a hitting instructor or as a bench coach if he's still betting legally on baseball. Now, Rose says he has every right to do that. He lives in Las Vegas, and he should be allowed to do that. So I think the only way, the pathway that Rose has, the only one may be if he agrees to no longer bet on baseball. But then it raises the question, is Manfred going to believe Rose when he says he'll do that?
And Don, one last point here. A lot of people seem to think that reinstatement would mean that Pete Rose goes into the Hall of Fame. As you said, it means being allowed back into the good graces of the game completely, being able to be employed by baseball as a coach or potentially a manager, even though he's 78 now and it's been 30 years. We're not talking about the Hall of Fame here. We're talking about being in baseball.
That's right. MLB simply has privileges that they would extend to anybody that they reinstate into baseball, and that includes a job with a team or with a club. But the question of whether Pete Rose would be inducted into the Hall of Fame, that goes to a committee.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.